Good morning. My name is Jamarcus, and I'm grateful to serve as one of the pastors here at Cornerstone. And I have the privilege of being the messenger for today. So we're going to be here for a little bit. I don't really have to preach as much. Shauna and Sean, look at them, doing the job of laying the foundation. But what does God have to say about how we experience grief? Sean initiated at it, and I want to stand here for a moment, and I want to say grief is what I feel when someone passes away. Grief is what I feel when I am concerned. Grief is what I feel when I have done wrong. Grief is what I feel when some accident happens. Grief is something that all people go through. I know first week we talked about depression. And depression looks different. Pastor Jeremy gave us a laundry list of ways that you could experience depression. But maybe you've been like, you know what? I'm good on that one. I have my bad days, but I'm okay. Maybe you're like others and comparison didn't do it for you. I'm content. I'm happy with who I have. I don't want what they have because I don't know what they went through to get it. I like where I am, so I don't compare myself to others. The beauty of God's grace is that it covers every area of our lives. And sometimes that area is grief. Now, what is it? What is it? I know we're going to take this journey a little more in depth, what Pastor Shauna was talking about. What is grief? Grief is the deep hurt emotion associated with loss. I did not say with losing someone. I said with loss. And I want to paint the picture. I've been doing this thing called life for a while. The one thing that I've noticed is every single person has experienced a level of loss at some point. Now, I was walking through this, and I'm trying to figure out what is it? How do I identify loss? Crises. See, now maybe you weren't in Target buying staplers. Maybe you had just landed on your vacation. You had your passport in one pocket, your phone in your hand, your earbuds in your ears, and your suitcase behind you. And if you're like me, you patted your back pocket and realized your wallet wasn't there. And in that moment, you went through every stage of grief there is. You were angry. How did I leave it? How did I lose it? Where is it? Why did this happen to me? I'm supposed to be on the beach with a coconut in my hand. But now I don't even have my credit card or ID to pick up the rental car. Then you face this place of denial. Oh no, I couldn't have lost it. I'm better prepared than this. Got my fanny pack. I got the book bag. I made extra copies of everything. How? Why? This is not real. So you open that suitcase and you start tearing it up, looking for it. You dump your book bag out 3 times. You're in denial. Then you get to this place of bargaining. Now, it's my favorite place. It's my favorite place because you'd be like, God, look. Lord, if you were real, I believe it. I know I'm about to get a phone call, and they're going to be like, hey, we found your wallet on the plane. It was just under the seat, too far back. You didn't see it. Come pick it up. You begin to bargain with God. Favorite bargain with God is, Lord, look, if you make it happen, I won't spend as much money, and I'll give some to the church. It's my favorite bargain. Every time I can't find my wallet, I'm on my way to the store. Lord, I won't spend half of what I was planning. Or whatever I spend, I'll give it back to you. Begin to bargain. then you find yourself in this place of depression. Told you it comes around. And you're like, you know what? This trip is pointless. You got the wife, husband asking you, hey, they need the card. And you're like, I don't know where the card is. You get to acceptance. And you start praying that whoever you with on this trip got an identification and a credit card. And you pray they got Venmo now. I can send it to you. Start walking through this journey of grief and loss. I was in my favorite store, Target, 3 days ago. And I'm like, God, how am I supposed to make this stick? How am I supposed to let them know that everyone experiences loss? Just pushing my little buggy, putting stuff in there that I know I don't need, but I got my wallet, so I'm good. And all I hear, the top of her lungs, is this 4-year-old girl go crazy. If you grew up in a household like me, you don't do that in the store. I don't care how old you are or what just happened. You do not lose your mind in the store. Maybe y'all got away with it. I didn't. So my innate reaction was, oh, somebody's about to get in trouble. And all I heard was, Mom, I can't find it. Where'd you take it? Where'd you put it? Why'd you take it out of the cart? I wanted the bear. And I was like, oh, okay, this is real. Let me move over. And this 4-year-old girl mapped every stage of the grief process. She was in denial. She got angry. She began to bargain with her mother. She was sad. She was like, you know what? I'll just get chips instead. She accepted it. She moved through the place of grief. Now, it's funny because Pastor Jeremy would tell you that when he was laying out the calendar, the preaching calendar for this month, he was like, okay, let's see how to navigate it. Invite people and give people platform spaces to where life experience has brought them. And I am no stranger. You know my life, you know my story. I am no stranger to the experience of grief. I began to run through my mind all of the crises. Lost my father, crisis. House caught on fire, crises. I lost my Barney tape, crises. Wasn't simply one thing that took me on the journey of grief. But what happens when you approach crises? Where do you go from there? If you're like me, you probably had to stop off at the Village of Anger. You didn't want to deal with it. You were mad. Every person, everything. Okay, my favorite moment. Have you ever been rushing into the house? Been rushing into the house, whether you want to get the bags out your hand, or who's the one-trip person? If you're the one-trip person, you got to take all your groceries in one trip. I'm with you. I can't do it. I'm not going back to the car. If I leave something, it's standing there until I grab all the important stuff first. So if something gets left, if I can't carry the jug of water, the case of water, it can stay in the car. It's fine. I get it the next time. The Village of Anger. I remember I lost my father. I was walking this with myself, and I lost my father. I was 12. January 4th, very important day for me, was the day I turned 13. Got the phone call. Hey, we're picking you up from school. I was a 13-year-old on your birthday in the middle of the winter in Chicago on a Wednesday. Yeah, I tracked it. I remember. I was like, oh, this is the best day ever. I ain't got to go to math. I ain't got to listen to history. I ain't got to deal with no one else. I'm ready to go. Come on, bring the cupcakes. We can sing happy birthday, and I'm out the door. So I start telling every one of my friends, I'm leaving early. Y'all are here until 5 o'clock. Ha. Mom picks me up. Walk out. Says, hey, got some bad news. I went from the top of the mountain to the valley of anger. I got mad with God. And the beauty of what I found and the grace that comes with grief is that you can be mad. God invites your anger. The beauty of being angry and God inviting that is you are still in relationship with Him. So I question Him. Why am I here? Why does this process have to start here? I punched the door because the key would not turn fast enough. Like who's ever been trying to get in and you got to fumble? Why is there so many keys on this key ring? I only got one door in this house that needs a key. But you got 12 keys on your key ring. And every time you go home, you are able to masterfully grab that key right out of your pocket. This one moment, this one time in the season and the journey of grief, you can't figure out which key opens your door. Valley, village of anger. But you don't stay there. You have lost someone. Know that you just can't stay there. This valley of emotions, navigating funeral arrangements, navigating everybody trying to call you when you don't want to answer the phone for no one. The emotions of tears. I want you to know that your tears have power. They are good. They're good. They're healthy. It's okay. I grew up in a culture and an environment where you weren't supposed to cry. It's okay. Wipe your tears. Stop crying. What are you crying about? Someone has it worse. I could care less how they might feel right now. But right now, I am hurting. There is something inside of me that is not happy. There is a hole somewhere. So I begin to walk through the valley of emotion. Many nights of crying. And on this journey through grief, we find ourselves 3 months later, 6 months later, you're still walking through this valley of emotion. Because the way life happens is you finally move to the town of waiting and no hope. You stop crying. You stop being angry. But at this point, you probably made the statement, God, you weren't there. You did not come through. I was praying that you healed them. The marriage was rocky. God, I was praying that you kept us together. I lost. You didn't show up. So I got to do this thing called life on my own from now on. So you begin to carry the unnecessary burdens. I'm sorry, I didn't even give y'all my text. That was terrible. I'm going to get in trouble in my preaching class. Sorry, Drew. You find yourselves here. And so I have a beautiful, beautiful passage of Scripture. John 11, just so you can track it. John 11. We walk through the story of Lazarus' death, resurrection. John 11. And we find ourselves on this journey. You walk through the text. You find that Mary and Martha, Lazarus' sisters, sent word to Jesus, your friend, the one you love, is dying. The Bible points out that Jesus literally said, I love them. Yet he waited for 2 days. I want to use the moment of of Jesus telling them to wait. The disciples were like, Lord, we got to move. He's sick. We've seen you heal the sick. So you can do that. I know that's in your range. Jesus waits. Sometimes on this journey of grief and of loss, love makes you wait. Sometimes waiting is where you begin to trust him a little more. But you're alone. You declared, I am alone. I'm by myself in this now. I ain't got nobody else. And so you start to do something on your own. I got to deal with the funeral arrangements. They left all of this stuff, house full of stuff. Why they got this many clothes and they only wore 4 outfits? You've got to decide how to navigate family members who are clamoring for everything. I want the watch. I want the TV. They left something for me. You're the person now having to divide it all. But you got your own life going on. And your kids are getting on your nerves. They know you've lost. They see the tears. They still got stuff. And God's just like, give it here. I have something for you. Give it here. No, God. I got my own plan. What did Jeremiah say? I know you have a plan that's good for me. You have one that's going to give me a hope and a future. But you weren't there. You weren't with me. I didn't see you. I couldn't feel you. I was alone. So I started to carry the weight and the burden of my sins. I started to try to carry all of this stuff. And in the first moment, in the first few hours, it's all like, you know what, God, I can move with this. See, I told y'all I ain't need them. You stop going to church. Stop reading your Bible. Stop praying. You stop missing small group. You start making excuses. For a few minutes, this is real light. Then what happens when you stay in the town of waiting and no hope? You got to start adjusting. Ever tried to carry something for too long? Ever tried to experience it? I asked a question in youth group a few weeks ago. Would you rather be hit with a ton of flowers, a ton of feathers? Would you rather be hit with a ton of feathers or a ton of bricks? Who would rather be hit with a ton of feathers? Raise your hand. No, honestly, come on, I'm with you. If you would rather be hit with a ton of feathers, raise your hand. And if you would rather be hit with a ton of bricks, raise your hand. I think I know where Peter's going, why he raised his hand. But the problem with that is, I asked Jeremy the same question earlier this week, and he said, well, is it all packed, or are they coming at me individually? Because if I'm getting hit with a ton of feathers that's just falling and they're free, I'm taking over that one, taking those than the bricks. But if they're coming both at me wrapped and packaged, I'm dodging both of them because they're going to hit me at the same amount. But what happens after carrying all of the unnecessary burdens? But you know, I went to church, Corey, and I did all of these things growing up. I read my Bible. I know John 3:16. God's supposed to love me. I'm not supposed to experience hard times. I'm not supposed to experience this level of pain. John 11, Jesus finally shows up. Finally gets to Mary and Martha. One of the sisters says, Lord, had you been here, he would not have died. Had you come when we called you, he wouldn't have died. Scripture accounts Jesus starts crying. Shortest verse in the Bible, John 11:35. Jesus wept. And I wrestled with, why was he crying, Drew? Many reasons why he might have been crying. It came to me, I was like, wait a second. Lazarus is dead. He died. So I know if Paul's words are right, to be absent from the body, to be present with the Lord. So Lazarus is with the Lord. So could Jesus have been shedding tears? Because he had to remove a man from paradise. There's no grief, there's no sorrow, there's no sickness, there's no loss. Mary and Martha had been blinded by this place of no hope. So they're still carrying the stuff, carrying the unnecessary baggage. Scripture tells us, literally a chapter before, I have come that you might have life, and that you might have it more abundantly. So Pastor Shauna literally took us there. The city of new beginnings. And God now wants to give you the fullness of life. So when God shows up with the fullness of life, this new place, this new beginning, God comes and he's like, look, I told you I had something for you. I just needed you to be ready to receive it. But God, I'm not ready. I'm not ready to give this up. Where were you? I'm telling you now, the journey of grief and of loss means you have to put in some skin. You have to do the work. And at some point, I promise you, it's so much sweeter. Just say, I'm done carrying the burdens. I'm done carrying all of the unnecessary things, and I want the fullness of life after loss. What does that look like? What does the fullness of life look like? I got to stop here because I would have loved, trust me, y'all know I like to do announcements. It's 3 minutes and I can walk off. I would have loved to gotten up here and tell you, don't worry. They are your guardian angel. That ain't true. I'm sorry. Somebody ever told you that after you lost someone? It ain't true. God needed them more than we did. I'm sorry. He is the creator of the universe. He don't need nobody to do nothing for him. Time will heal your pain. That was the worst thing I ever experienced. I failed. And I lost all ability to use my left arm. I fell. I tripped. I was jumping off garages and rode the wrong way. And if you know anything about me, you're about to find out I am left-handed. So I'm on the floor crying. I can't write. I barely can eat. Can't do nothing. I get to the doctor and the hospital, and they're like, okay, there you go. You got to be like this for the next 4 weeks. You can only do this. You can't do nothing else. You just got to elevate it every so often. I'm crying because it's the summer. I hurt myself at the beginning of summer. Ever been out of commission for the summer? As a teenager, can't ride a bike. See, I was like, couldn't I break my right arm? Beginning to bargain. Lord, you should have took this one. You could have kept this one. Someone said to me, it's okay. Time's going to heal it. I was like, I don't care about the clock. I want to be healed now. I want to be healed now. Because when we find ourselves in a place of loss, we start to lie to ourselves. You know, he gave it to me because he knew I could handle it. I'm a stronger Christian. That's why I'm experiencing this. No. I don't know about you. I can't speak for you. I don't know about you. I ain't one of those. The Lord's still working on me. But I found myself on this bridge of lies. If you know anything about lies, they are the worst foundation to stand on. Because the more time you add, the more info you have to intuit, the more justification you have to make, that bridge starts to crumble. Because you got to expand that lie. But the truth of God's word helps you to navigate it. Some lessons I've learned. Pain taught me perspective. I lost. And in that pain, I had to change my perspective. Jesus tells his disciples in John 11, they're saying, well, if he's asleep, he'll wake up. He'll feel better. Feel better in the morning. He'll get over it. It's just sickness. He's okay. He's asleep. And Jesus has to tell him he is dead. And the reason he is dead is so that God's glory could be revealed. This moment, the disciples are like, oh, we know you can heal a sick man. You ain't even got to be in the room to do that one. Jesus is like, where's your faith? I ask you that in the moment of pain. Where's your faith? Is your position, your perspective now on the God who loves you most? Or is it situated on a place of pain? I played baseball and had a coach who would say, if there's no pain, there's no gain. If when you lift in the weights, you don't feel nothing, you need to add some weight. So where is it? Lesson I've learned is trauma taught me trust. Not in trust in the world, not in trust in cliches, but trust in a God. Psalmist wrote, weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Jesus approaches, he gets to the town, and Mary and Martha yell at him. They got angry with the Lord. He says, you'll see it. He's going to be resurrected. It's okay. Mary gave a very churchy answer. I know I'm going to see him again. When we get up, when you come, when the sky opens. Yes, resurrection. I'm going to see him again. It's like, no, I am the resurrection. I am the life. He who believes does not have to perish. You can live in me. I want to give you the fullness of life. So in the city of new beginnings, I want to give you some practical things. If you take notes, this is the moment. How do I navigate the season of grief to live into the fullness of life? Vulnerability. My favorite moment in the text is they roll the stone away. Jesus is like, okay, everybody get back, move. I'm about to show y'all what I've been trying to tell y'all. I got to finally show you. You couldn't just listen. Let me show you. Move. Roll the stone away. Lazarus, come forth. Lazarus walks out and he's wrapped. And Jesus says, take that off of him. He is not dead. He is alive. Take that off. Remove the things that had you bound in the space of loss and grief. Remove it. And his sister yelled, Lord, that man gonna stank. He been dead for 4 days. Don't take that off. I've come to tell you in my last 2 seconds, you have to be vulnerable with God. The place in your heart that might smell, the place in your heart that might hurt, you have to be vulnerable. You have to let him in. Well, if he's God, he should already know to just come in. The God I serve is a gentleman. Revelation tells you he stands at the door and knocks. You have to open it. You have to make the step. Where else did I find the ability to walk to fullness of God's word? To fullness of life. I found it in the scripture. When I was losing, if you've known me for the last 10 months, which you have, because I've been here for 10 months, in the last 10 months I've lost 10 people. And these are just associates of people that I've met at least once in my life. These were people who I did life with. Aunts and uncles, cousins, long-standing family friends, people who have been with me for 24 years. In a season of loss and grief, I had to turn to God's word. And his word declared that I am more than a conqueror. I'm not a conqueror, I just didn't defeat it. I overcame it. More than a conqueror. I found it in the scripture. Thirdly, I want you to find it in the space of prayer. You got to be talking to Jesus. You have to have that relationship with him. You have to be able to hear his voice. And lastly, Sean and Shauna both mentioned it, community. I'm going to invite the worship team out. Community. You are not alone. I set the foundation plainly. Every single person has experienced some level of loss and walked through the season of grief. And that is why the church is important. Jesus told the people around Mary and Martha, have faith. So I want to challenge you. You might not be in the season of loss right now. You might not find yourself there. But if you find yourself on the journey of grief, I want you to know, not only do you have a God who loves you and is positioned high to see every pothole and pitfall,